Now, what I want to do here is simply ask you a series of questions to determine if what you have taken or are considering taking is the mark of the beast. So, you think you may have accidentally taken the mark of the beast and now you're worried about your eternal soul. Or maybe you're thinking about taking something that someone else is telling you may be the mark of the beast, and you're worried that if you take it, it may mean burning in hell along next to Satan for all of eternity. Well, I'm glad you found your way to this video. Let's get this all sorted. Hi, my name's Doug Hooley. A few years ago, I wrote a book called Watch. Now, that book takes a really close look at what Jesus had to say about his own return to this earth. It's based on a talk that he gave his disciples while they were on the Mount of Olives. That talk is known as the Olivet Discourse. Now, the Olivet Discourse serves as a framework for all other prophetic scripture pertaining to the second coming of Jesus, including the scriptures that pertain to the mark of the beast, which is what we're concerned with here. Now, what I want to do here is simply ask you a series of questions to determine if what you have taken or are considering taking is the mark of the beast. So let's get started. First, is this mark you've taken or are considering taking a literal mark? The word in the original language for mark translates as a scratch or an etching or a stamp. It's something that can be observed with our senses. It's not a figurative idea. If you've answered yes to this question, please proceed to question number 2. If you've answered no, what you're talking about doesn't sound like a mark at all. Question number 2. Is this mark you have taken or are considering taking required for everyone in the world to have in order to buy or sell anything? If your answer is no, it is not the mark of the beast. Revelation chapter 13 verses 16 and 17 says, "It causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark." An undisputable characteristic of the mark of the beast is that it's necessary to have in order to buy or sell anything. No legal commerce will take place apart from having it. If your answer was yes, please proceed on to the next question. Question number 3. Is the mark you've taken or are considering taking somehow directly tied to the identity of the man already positively identified as the Antichrist? According to Revelation chapter 13 verse 17, no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast, the Antichrist, or the number of its name. In other words, the mark one takes will directly associate them with the Antichrist. It's not just that the Antichrist has something to do with the mark or he endorses the mark. It's that the mark is clearly because of the Antichrist. He will have been positively identified by the time the mark of the beast is required through the actions he will have taken already. There will be a follow-up question on this later. For now, if you answered yes to this question, please proceed to question number 4. If your answer is no, it's not the mark of the beast. You can relax. Question number 4. Is the literal physical mark that you've taken or are thinking about taking that's directly associated with a man that's been positively identified as the Antichrist located either on your right hand or your forehead? Remember, Revelation chapter 13 verse 16 specifically says it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead. It's not a credit card. It's not a Venmo account. It's not a vaccine administered in your shoulder or your buttocks. It's some form of a mark on your right hand or forehead? If you answered yes to this question, please move on to question number 5. If you've answered no, it's not the mark of the beast. Question number 5. Was this mark that you've taken or are considering taking ordered by one human influential leader known in the Bible as the false prophet, who is closely associated with the Antichrist? And has this individual also attempted to cause everyone on the earth to worship the Antichrist? According to Revelation chapter 13, verses 11 through 16, it's this individual who causes everyone to take the mark of the beast. Not only cause them to take the mark, but actually to worship the Antichrist. If you answered yes to this question, please proceed to question number 6. If you've answered no, congratulations. I don't know how you made it this far into the questions, but what you have taken or thinking about taking is not the mark of the beast. But I'd suggest being more careful in the future. Question number 6. Has the person you believe to be the false prophet who has caused everyone to worship the Antichrist and take the mark also called down fire from heaven? And was that witnessed by people? And did he cause an image of the Antichrist to appear to come to life, which he requires everyone to worship, or else be put to death? Revelation chapter 13, verses 12 to 16 says, "It," the false prophet, "exercises all the authority of the first beast," the Antichrist, "in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people, and by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on the earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak, and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain." If you answered no to this question, the person you are considering is not the false prophet spoken of in the Bible. He is a false prophet.
Double false.
If your answer to the question is yes, I'm beginning to worry that you may have taken or are thinking about taking the mark of the beast. You need to move on to the final question. And here it is. But first, some information. The Antichrist will not be positively revealed and identified until 3.5 years after he confirms a 7-year covenant with the nation of Israel, and then breaks the terms of that covenant 1,260 days after he enters into it by causing the sacrifices to be halted in a Jewish temple or tabernacle that's located on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Once he halts the daily sacrifice, he will seat himself in that temple or tabernacle and declare himself to be God after appearing to be resurrected from the dead. This, at the hands of the Antichrist, will also trigger the worst persecution of all times for both Jews and those who hold to the testimony of Jesus, in other words, Christians. Now, here is the question. If you've taken or are thinking about taking the mark on your right hand or forehead, which was required of all the inhabitants of the earth, under penalty of death, under the direction of a man who can call down fire from heaven, to buy or sell, which is associated with who you think is the Antichrist, do all of these circumstances that I just laid out exist? If you've answered no to this question, I don't know what situation you've gotten into, but it's not the mark of the beast. But to be careful, you might want to review your answers to be sure. However, if you've answered yes to all 7 of these questions, then yes, what you have taken or are considering taking is the mark of the beast. Now, here's what to expect if you've already taken it or you decide to take it. This, according to Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 to 11. If anyone worships the beast and its image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, he also will drink the wine of God's wrath, poured full strength into the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, which is Jesus. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest, day or night. These worshippers of the beast and its image, and whoever receives the mark of its name. If you believe you are an authentic follower of Jesus, and that he will rapture his followers before the mark of the beast will be imposed on people, then you believe you have nothing to worry about, and that the scenario I just laid out is for the people who have been, quote, left behind, unquote. Well, fair enough. But please keep these things in mind that I just said, just in case you have the timing of the rapture wrong. How unfortunate it would be for you to take such a mark thinking that you have nothing to worry about because the church won't be here when the Antichrist is on the scene. As you can see, the stakes are extremely high, but at the same time, given all the details surrounding the mark of the beast, it's going to be hard to mistake, and it's not going to be easy to accidentally take it, especially if you're familiar with all of the biblical information that's contained in this video, and you're watching for it. With all of the conspiracy theories that are running rampant today, I hope that this video has helped you to determine whether, God forbid, you have taken or are thinking about taking the biblical definition of the mark of the beast. Thank you, may God bless you, and Maranatha.